Welcome to the Building One Story at a Time podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Katie Herbine.
And I'm Stephanie Tirado.
We're back.
2025.
You thought you'd got rid of us, but here we are. It's still January, too.
At least by the time we're recording this.
Correct.
This may come out for you guys in February. But hello, we missed you. We're back with some hot and fresh design content today.
Yes, so we thought it'd be fun to kick off the new year with a little what's in, what's out in design trends. Caveat to this episode is it's always your personal preference, so don't take anything we say as gospel.
It is just our opinion, really, and the
Yep.
opinions of others that we hear either in the studio or things that we read online. So that is a very good
Yep. Take what you like,
reminder.
what works for you, leave what doesn't. So,
Perfect.
all right.
Well, let's kind of kick it off with some things that are in today. Let's start kind of specifically with kitchens. So something we've been doing a lot of recently is the cabinets to the ceiling. I do not think that is going anywhere anytime soon.
No, it is such a bold statement. It makes your ceilings feel so much taller. I have my city house and we just did cabinets to the ceiling in there and probably a little shy of an 8-foot ceiling, and it just makes it feel so much bigger. And then in the 9-foot ceiling, you're getting so much more additional cabinet space for storage. So this is just a really beneficial design trend that's coming in.
Really visually draws the eye up and makes the space feel complete.
Absolutely.
Another kitchen thing, although this one could apply to any room really, but it would be layered lighting. So specifically when thinking about your kitchen, you have different types of lighting. You have your overhead recess lighting, your under cabinet lighting, your pendant lighting, and really each one serves a different purpose. Some could be task lighting, some could be ambient lighting, like if you're hanging out in the family room near the kitchen. So really just having different levels of light at different heights really helps bring a space together, makes it feel more complete, and highlights how beautiful your built-in kitchen elements are.
Can kind of add to that cozy feel as well with how you kind of turn the lights on, whether you have them dimmed or just like the pendant light on, really kind of helps with drawing into that kind of cozy, moody space, which is something that is also in the kitchen, but in other spaces of the house, kind of in that more textured material is kind of a trend that's coming in. So we have brick backsplashes kind of making a reappearance, things that are really textured. So in the backsplash, I'll kind of throw in what's maybe going on its way out would be your white subway tile, just the smooth texture. Coming in is that textured tile of a handcrafted look, whether it's in a subway tile or in the 4x4 and 6x6 tiles that are really kind of making an appearance now. A little biased because I did just do 4x4s in my kitchen, but I love them. They look so good. Another kind of functional trend for the kitchens is large islands, having a place to both prep food and have people sit around and gather.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of the larger islands we offer. So that would be, now, disclaimer, the available island will depend on the home plan you select. So just keep that in mind. Your neighborhood sales specialist can help you through determining that along with us here at the design studio. But for us, it would be the gathering island, which is the square 5x5 countertop island. which comfortably fits about 4 stools. But having like a nice big square landing space allows you as the owner or the host to still have some working space, but also maybe have some serving trays out while you're entertaining, or someone could be eating there at the island while you're doing cleanup or prep. And then also the galley island, which gives you, so both the gathering and the galley give you some additional storage on the back of the island, which is great for some of those seasonal things you don't use as often, but that you still need a place for, and maybe that don't make as much sense in a walk-in pantry, for example. That galley island comfortably fits about 5 stools, depending on the style of stool that you do.
Another kind of extension of the large island is the extended kitchen spaces. So the butler's pantry area, this area that we showcased in our 2024 Parade of Homes entry would be like your work kitchen or dirty kitchen, which is kind of just like secondary counter, cabinet, maybe dishwasher, sink space that you can kind of load up with the stuff that you don't really want to see in what would be like your more kind of showstopper of a kitchen.
A lot of our plans have great optional cabinetry areas. I'm thinking of, for example, the Glen Mary, the Essington, the Montgomery has like the best one because it's cabinets on both sides as you walk between the kitchen and the dining room, really just making like an impact again for hosting, giving you additional space to put stuff out, additional storage space. And it's just another place to add like a design element to introduce a different cabinet color or a different countertop or backsplash.
I would say kind of along those same lines, something that's in trend would be drawer bases. So I would say rollout trays are maybe a little bit more on their way out because you have the door that you still have to open and then the tray pulls out. Drawers, you're right in there. It's for that fast moving kitchen,
Yeah.
I feel like. So I think drawer bases, the look, the aesthetic of drawer bases is very pleasing to me personally. And then also just the added functionality of like being able to have things roll out to you. I'll talk about my kitchen probably more than you guys want to hear, but all of our dishes, like our plates and bowls, they're in a drawer base in the island. So being able to like pull out instead of having to like lift up and over is just like game changer.
Yeah, and in those drawer bases too, you can find like some pretty good storage solutions online for like that bowl, plate storage, like different size plates. So they're kind of like inserts that go in there and then allow you to stack those plates so they're not moving around as the drawer rolls out. But you have a good point about the rollout trays. To get those doors to swing open, they have to come fully open to
Yep.
get those trays to come out, and they do just ultimately get in the way a little bit.
All right. I think we kind of wrapped up a lot of the kitchen, at least in like functionality trends. But now moving into color trends would be your warm whites paired with like more of like those darker wood accent tones in cabinetry. That is a big kind of coming in trend or reviving trend because I would say that your wood toned cabinetry has been more of that traditional design for a long time. But those more moody wood toned cabinets are also making a resurgence, and there's a lot of people that want that whole wood kitchen look. So
Yeah, absolutely. Another kind of design trend in the kitchen would be mixing shapes. So a lot of times, like if we pick a very square door style, like I'm thinking of like the Holtwood or the Dakota, depending on like which cabinet line we're dealing with. Sometimes it can feel like a lot of clean straight lines, like a lot of squares and rectangles. So it's nice to sometimes introduce different shapes, whether that's maybe a round pendant light, or maybe just a knob on those cabinets instead of, like a more hard lined pole.
yep, definitely like with that square shaker style cabinet bringing in, I love the look of knobs on cabinet doors. I feel like that is also maybe something that's coming back in would be the mixing of knobs and pulls. So doing something rounded on the doors that swing open and then your more linear kind of keeping in line with that square look on the drawers that roll out.
Moving into some just more general areas of designs, or for flooring rather, what we're seeing kind of in right now is large format tile. So specifically like 12 by 24s on the floor. It just kind of visually makes the space feel bigger and kind of draws the eye toward the floor as well. Makes it a little less distracting than having smaller format tile down underneath your feet.
Kind of along the same lines of flooring, something that's maybe on its way out would be like those heavily patterned tile floors and tile backsplashes. This kind of had a very short-lived moment, which is one of the kind of can be a downfall of picking something that's super trendy. But again, kind of going back to that disclaimer I had at the beginning of like, if you love pattern tile, pick what you love, because you're going to love it for so much longer than who cares about the trend if you love a patterned tile.
Moving on to one more thing about floors. I'd say still very in right now is light white oak. I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon as far as wood look flooring.
Yeah, definitely those like whitewashed white oak floors. And then the way that they pair so beautifully with a dark stained cabinet, they go even wonderfully with like the antique white cabinets where you're not getting like your cool stark white. It just really goes with everything. It's kind of like that universal trend that you can make more modern, make more traditional, kind of goes with everything.
Which is kind of in stark contrast to a trend we're seeing in like bathroom floors, which would be like, again, that dark moody tile. I'm thinking specifically of like the Ardosia, that slate look tile, which is kind of trending right now. And then from the LVT line, kind of the copycat there would be the Baltic Storm.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that Baltic Storm.
Having the contrast of the light floor in your main living space, which like Katie said, lends itself to being paired nicely with a dark wood tone cabinet. But then in your bathroom spaces, kind of taking it a bit darker, making it a bit more moody.
Well, and I think that kind of leans into the trend of like jewel boxes, which would be like a small space in your house, like your powder bathroom or your bathroom, being more dark in color, using those jewel toned for the walls, like your blues and greens, more moody tones. That kind of all goes with having a darker floor in there and then color drenching like the rest of that small space to be really just like cozy, inviting, comfortable, not like this is my coffin, but it would just be like a really beautiful moment and small because you're not in there for a very long time. And just kind of diving in. My husband showed me recently on like Reddit did I go too bold? And it was like a small powder room with like pink walls and like a very floral inspired wallpaper. And I was like, no, actually, I don't think they went too bold. They did a jewel box. And so I got to teach him that trend and that term.
Cute. I actually hadn't heard of that, jewel box. For the exteriors, again, just kind of like with the flooring, we're seeing both ends of the spectrum be very in right now. So we're seeing white exterior still super trending. Black elements are still in for the exterior, whether that's black shutters, a black front door, black garage door, black windows. And then on the other side of that spectrum, we're also seeing dark exteriors still be very in, also paired with dark accents.
Yeah. Bringing in kind of like thinking specifically of E.G. Stoltzfus products, the brandy wood siding, which is like a deep brown, I feel like is going to have a moment in 2025. Just kind of staying in the fact that it's warm earth toned, but dark and moody. And then pairing that with like white trim, I could totally see that being like a beautiful exterior.
Also that color, and the name is escaping me, some of you will remember it, that we just put on Nestle Run. It's like a dark green timber, whispering timber. Yeah, as we've talked about before, green is the color of the decade. Green is so in right now.
So good.
As we bring like the outdoors in, just incorporating more of that natural color of green into our spaces. But also on the exterior.
Absolutely. Should we get into the sad stuff of what's going out?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I think we have to because of the title of this episode.
Yeah.
Going out for now, but trends are cyclical, so they will be in again one day.
And I will say too, the list of what's coming in is much shorter or much longer than the list of what is going out. So yay.
Yay. And don't run out and remodel your spaces, guys. It's okay if you have any of these, because if you have it and you picked it, you probably love it. But if you want to build new, we're always here for you.
Yep. Alrighty. Starting in the kitchen like we did for the what's coming in, what's going out. Accent bands in your backsplash. As we're moving to that larger format tile, we're seeing a lot less of like the 3-inch accent band with like a small tile. A lot more of like a consistency across the backsplash. So that's one.
Also, just in general, smaller format backsplash is kind of on its way out. We hear a lot of concerns with people and like grout maintenance. And so a solution there is to have less grout, so to have larger format tiles. So for example, we have a 6x6 tile right now in the studio. We have a 4x12, which just more tile means less grout joint in between each tile.
Absolutely. Kind of what Steph was saying too, with like the smaller format tiles being on their way out. Mosaic sheets are kind of on, not their way out, but they're just less popular in this kind of, at this time right now. We're not seeing a lot of people opting for the mosaic sheet tiles. They're doing a little bit more of that like hand laid, individually laid tiles.
And when you do the hand laid tiles, you have a little bit more freedom too on the install method. So for example, like most of our subway tiles, we can offer on a herringbone install. When we do your shower wall tiles, we offer those on a horizontal or in a vertical install. So it kind of lends itself to a bit more creativity than being locked into just how the tile comes on that sheet. Sometimes too, with a critical enough eye, you can see the seams of those mosaic sheets, which is just an inherent property of that type of material.
Absolutely. Also in the kitchen on the sad to see go trend. Well, I'm not that sad to see it go because I'm a very messy person, but open shelving has kind of run its course, in my opinion. So we're not really seeing a lot of people asking for open shelving in their kitchen. It wasn't really something that we had on the menu, so to say. But I think with the option for cabinets to the ceiling and more of that like closed storage, we're seeing a lot more of that rather than people kind of wanting to display in the kitchen space.
Another thing we're seeing go out as we're kind of talking about kitchen and cabinetry is different cabinetry in every space. So I think there's some spaces that it makes sense to have maybe some accent cabinetry, like in your kitchen, if you wanted to do one color for the main kitchen, bring in an accent for the island, bring in an accent for the extended kitchen area. But then once we start also designing bathrooms and we have a larger home, a powder bath, maybe 2 to 3 to 4 upstairs bathrooms, and we're looking at different cabinets in every space, it can feel a little bit disjointed and maybe like the design wasn't necessarily thought about as a whole or cohesively. So I think usually as a designer, I try to approach each space with a little bit of consistency, but also still thinking about how that space is going to be used, but how it can still feel like a part of the whole and not something that's standing alone on its own.
Absolutely. Yeah, very good point.
Let's talk some bathroom stuff. So we mentioned earlier what's in would be that large format floor tile. What's on its way out is probably the smaller 12 by 12 square tile done on a stack. For shower walls, I think it can still pass in shower walls.
Yeah.
But on the floor especially, it kind of makes the room feel smaller, a little blocky. Maybe it's just a bit industrial. It doesn't feel like a home or like a residential application.
That's what I was going to say. It feels a little bit industrial. Like I went out to a restaurant and that's what they have on their bathroom floor. So we're really kind of definitely 2025 is the era of home and making your home feel comfortable, because we just spend so much time there. So even if you don't work from home, it's your retreat at the end of a long day. So a lot of trend towards more comfortable, more residential feeling products rather than that like kind of stark modern feeling. Along those same lines, for the main house, I would say your cool gray flooring, like cool gray LVP or engineered hardwood, is kind of on its way out. We are leaning a lot towards the more warm tone in flooring, natural white oak, to just kind of, again, bring back in that warmth and not pigeonhole you into like, okay, I have gray floor, so now it's gray.
Yeah, gray can be challenging because it's like you pair gray with white and with blue and with black, and then you're kind of stuck
In that cool tone.
Yeah.
It's not really one that kind of plays well with warm tones so much. So that's kind of something that in our merchandising, we've kind of gone a little bit away from those very cool tones to make space for some of those more warm tones, a little bit more of your like, in the LVP line, I'm thinking of our new preservation line from Adura, where it's a very natural looking wood. Now, of course, it's LVP, not hardwood, but it just has more of like that knotting and difference in each piece. So you can really kind of see how it looks more natural and more realistic.
And we are still conscientious that some people still like gray. So we were very intentional in keeping at least one gray option still in every tier. So we do still have those options if you feel the most comfortable in, with the grays. We can certainly accommodate and design for that as
absolutely.
well. Oh, one more or a couple more shower things I want to touch on. The tile shower accents, which we are showing here at the design studio, but we just don't do a lot of them. Well, the real popular option right now is a fiberglass base for low maintenance.
Yes.
So instead of having tiled base with grouts, people love that fiberglass insert. And then you have tiles on the wall or tile on the wall to the ceiling with your beautiful heavy clear glass swinging door. So because of that, we're not introducing two tiles. We're not doing a floor tile and a wall tile. So it kind of makes the most sense to just have those tiles on the wall. And the accents, so typically I would say what I've seen in the past, when we're doing a tile floor, then we're introducing a tile accent, and it might be even the same tile as what's on the floor. But we still offer a horizontal and a vertical accent. We're just not doing a lot of that right now. And then something Katie and I kind of disagree on is what's maybe going out. For me, I feel like the pebble shower floors are going out, but patterned shower floors are in, like hexagonal tiles. I think are still very in. I know we mentioned earlier patterned floors going out. That was more like encaustic patterns.
Yeah,
I think is what we were
on
talking
like
about
larger
there.
spaces, but like your shower floor, again, kind of that small space rule. You can do a little bit more of a pattern. We just introduced a really pretty herringbone tile. I personally love the pebble floor. My parents have it at their house, and I just recently stayed over and showered in their shower, and I was like, ooh, this is like a little massage for my feet.
We also have some cool new shapes too for shower floors. There's a 1x3 in the Reserva collection, I think, of our tile.
Yeah, and like more hexagon. We introduced more hexagon patterns in like a matte finish for a shower floor.
Yeah. So shapes are in, just not squares.
Yes. Mix your shapes up.
Have some squares, but have some circles. Have some hexagons. Have a little bit of everything.
And then the last thing kind of plays into a trend that's coming in as well as a trend that's going out with your fireplaces. I think using built-in features as artwork is going to be big. It's going to be a big kind of thing. So that stone fireplace with stone to the ceiling, or your nickel gap fireplace wrapped with the box mantle, would be kind of like in the trend world. And then something that's going out is like the millwork mantle with stone inside around the firebox. So we're not really doing a lot of this now. I don't think you get to see the visual of the stone enough in that application.
It
So
also feels a little squatty and a little heavy.
yeah, it kind of isn't in proportion to what you would kind of expect. Like, I think that is for like if you have this like massive fireplace, which would be very much of like an old manor house, not necessarily a new colonial or craftsman build house, where your firebox is smaller. It's a gas fireplace. So that's something that we're not really seeing. But we do love our millwork mantles with the granite
Absolutely.
slate interior there. I think slate's probably my favorite because it is just so natural looking. Really kind of adds an element of matte to the gloss on the paint and the reflective glass of the gas fireplace insert. So
Welcome to the Building One Story.
there you go. We weren't lying. Your out list is much shorter than your in list. So happy 2025. Welcome back.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.